You know, there's one meal that has been eaten by more people, in more places, over more centuries than any other meal in human history. And yet most people have no idea what the food on the plate was actually for. Because this wasn't just dinner. It was a meticulously designed system. Every single ingredient served a purpose, and it was all laid out in one single, incredibly detailed blueprint.
So in this explainer, we're going right back to that original blueprint. We're going to look at every part of the meal just as it was first commanded, following a very, very specific set of instructions.
All right, so our source for all of this is the book of Exodus, chapter 12. And what's just incredible is the level of detail here. I mean, these are some of the most specific food prep commands in the entire text. Every single element was intentional. Nothing was accidental.
So the absolute centerpiece of this entire meal, this divine ordinance, was the lamb. And the very first command is all about how to select it. That choice really sets the stage for everything that follows.
Just look at how precise this is. The whole process was laid out in these really explicit steps. First, you had to select a male lamb in its first year, and this is crucial, it had to be without blemish. That means perfect, no defects, a symbol of purity. Then its blood was applied to the doorposts of the house, basically acting as a clear sign, a token of protection. And finally, the flesh itself had to be eaten that very night.
And the instructions are just as specific about what not to do. It's really fascinating. The lamb had to be roasted whole, over a fire. The text explicitly says, don't eat it raw and don't boil it in water. So the cooking method itself was part of the command, making sure none of the animal was lost or diluted. And what about leftovers? Well, there were rules for that too. Anything that was still there by morning had to be completely burned with fire. You couldn't save anything. The whole ordinance was for that one night and that night alone.
Okay, but the lamb wasn't eaten by itself. The next key element was the bread, and the way it was made was directly connected to the incredible urgency of their escape from Egypt.
So, the critical point here is what was missing. Leaven. Leaven, like yeast. It's what makes bread rise and get all puffy. And the command wasn't just to avoid eating bread with leaven in it. No, they had to get rid of all the leaven in their entire homes for the whole feast.
And for 7 straight days, they had to eat this unleavened bread. The text actually calls it the bread of affliction. Think about that. It was a constant physical reminder that they fled Egypt in such a mad rush, they didn't even have time to let their dough rise.
And that brings us to the third and final food component of the meal. This was the accompaniment, and it was meant to be eaten right alongside the roasted lamb and the unleavened bread.
The instruction is so simple and direct. With bitter herbs they shall eat it. This wasn't about creating some complex flavor profile. It was a command for the senses. Every single bite was designed to be a direct, tangible reminder of the bitterness of their slavery in Egypt. It was about physically tasting the memory of that bondage to make sure the hardship they were leaving behind would never, ever be forgotten.
Now this is where it gets really interesting, because the instructions went way beyond just the food. The command also laid out the exact posture and the exact way they had to eat it, embedding the meal's meaning right into their physical bodies.
This was not some relaxed, kick-your-feet-up kind of dinner. They were told to eat with their robes tied up, ready for travel, loins girded. They had to have their shoes on their feet and a staff in their hand, totally prepared to move at a moment's notice. The text even says it was to be eaten in haste. Every detail hammered home the same message. This is a meal you eat on the very edge of a journey.
So you can really see the timeline laid out here. The whole event was self-contained, unfolding over a single night. It kicks off at dusk with the lamb, continues through the night with this hurried meal, and then it concludes at dawn with the burning of whatever was left. A complete, unbroken sequence from evening to morning.
So when you step back and look at it, you realize nothing was random. The animal, the way it was cooked, the bread, the herbs, even how you were supposed to sit while you ate. Every single detail was a deliberate instruction. It was a meal designed to literally encode memory and meaning into the act of eating. And it really makes you wonder, what other profound instructions are hiding in plain sight in our oldest traditions?